Hey guys, I'm Catherine, and today I'm here with my October TBR. And before we get into my TBR, as always, welcome and please like and subscribe to my channel. And before we get into my TBR, I have not mentioned if I passed my CNA test, which I have, so I don't have to worry about studying. Now I can get focus back to what I love. It's reading. And today we are going to be covering a lot of books, so this video is probably going to be a little bit long. I'm reading 12 books this October, and all of these books that I am they're in order the way that I'm going to be reading them. So, let's get into it. The first book that I'm going to be reading is Bird Box, and it is about something terrifying that must not be seen. One glimpse and a person is driven to deadly violence. No one knows what it is or where it came from. 5 years after it began, a handful of scattered survivors remain, including Mallory and her 2 young children. Living in an abandoned house near the river, Mallory has long dreamed of fleeing to a place where her family might be safe, but the journey ahead will be terrifying. 20 miles downriver in a narrow boat, blindfolded. One wrong choice and they will die. And something is following them, but is it a man, animal, or monster? In the darkness, surrounded by sounds both familiar and frightening, Mallory embarks on harrowing a trip to take her into an unseen world, back into the past, to the companies who once saved her. Interweaving past and present, Josh breathtaking debate is a terrifying, gripping snap of the world unraveling that will have you racing to the final page. So that's that one. And this is the first book I'm reading. Again, everything is going to be the order that I'm reading in, so this will be the first book. And the next book is going to be a Raleigh Sager book, which is going to be Home Before Dark. And no, I haven't read this book, so it's going to be interesting. Megan Holt doesn't believe in these things, even though there are the details of the story that made her family famous. 25 years ago, she and her parents moved into a shambling Victorian estate in Vermont woods. They spent 20 days there before fleeing in the dead of night, and an ordeal later recounts in his horror memoir, House of Horrors. His talent of ghostly happenings and encounters with marvelous spirits becoming a worldwide phenomenon, revealing the imminent horror in popularity and skepticism. Maggie has lived her life in the shadow of her father's book, so when she inherits the Bainbury Hall after his death, she returns to renovate the house to prep for sale. However, her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the past, chronicles in the House of Horrors, lurk in the shadows, and the locals aren't thrilled that their small town had been made infamous thanks to Maggie's father. Even more unrevealing is Berry Hall itself, a place pulled from another era that hints at a history of dark deeds. As Maggie experienced strange occurrences throughout the book and starts to wonder if what he wrote was more fact than fiction. Between Maggie's uneasy homecoming and the chapters of her father's book, Home Before Dark, is the story of a house with a long burdened secrets and a woman's quest to uncover them, even if the truth is more terrifying than any haunting. Home Before Dark, and that's going to be my second book I'm going to be reading. And this one is a sequel. It's by Adam Cesare, and I think it was last year, maybe it was a couple years ago, I read Clown in a Cornfield, and he just released the second book, and I got it, and I'm very excited. It is Clown in a Cornfield, Frendo Lives, and from what I've understood, it has the same characters in it, or the ones that survived in it. So it says, after barely making out of Kettle Springs, Cornfield alive, Quinn's first year of college should seem safe and easy. All she wants is to forget what happened and be a normal kid again. But instead, Quinn's past won't leave her alone as she becomes the focus of a host of online conspiracy theories that claim to prove that Kettle Springs massacre never happened. It is but ruthless fantasy, and there is nothing Quinn can do to get people to hear the truth, not even on her own campus. So when murderous clown similar target Gwen at a college party, while another goes after her father back in Missouri, Quinn realizes that the facts alone are never going to save her. Her only option is to go back home, back into the cornfields, back to where the nightmare began, to set the record straight. The only way she knows how, because when the truth gets lost, that's when the people start to die. It's all new horror classic about what happens when the truth is the last thing we want to believe. From Bram Stoker's award-winning masterpiece of thrillers and chills, horror legacy, Adam Cesare. So that is Frendo. That's my third book I'm going to be reading. I'm trying to keep them in order as I'm doing my review. And the fourth one I'm going to be reading is called Daisy Darker. I've never read this author before, so it's going to be interesting. It is 5 years of avoiding one another. Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's shambling Gothic home. As a teeny island, they are finally back together one last time. And when the tides come in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then, at the stroke of midnight, as a storm rages, Nana is found dead. An hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon their present mystery as well as their past secrets before the tides go out and all is revealed. With a wicked wink, and then there were none, Daisy Darker unforgettable twists will leave readers reeling. Daisy Darker. That's my fourth book I'm reading. Try not to drop any of these. So, the next book I'm going to be reading, it's the fifth book, and it is called Kill Creek. And I got the paperback version because that's the only thing I could find. It says, at the end of a dark, bare road, nearly forgotten in the countryside, it is a fetching house. For years it has remained empty, overgrown, abandoned. Soon the door will be opened for the first time in decades, but something is waiting and lurking in the shadows to meet its new guests. When best-selling horror author Sam McGraver is invited to spend Halloween night in one of the world's most infamous haunted houses, he reluctantly agrees. At least he won't be alone. Joining him are 3 other masters of the macabre writers to have helped shape modern horror. But what begins as a simple publicity stunt will become a fight for survival. And the entirety that they have awoken will follow them, torture them, threaten to make them a part of the bloody legend of Kill Creek. And the next one I have is Camp Slaughter. It says, it is a local legend. No one is sure if the Camp Slaughter place is real or not, but a group of college kids rent out a cabin deep in the woods of Pennsylvania will soon realize the truth. They will realize the danger too, rather than the cannibal out in the woods will bring danger to them. So, I've never read this book, to be honest. I've never read either these ones. So it's going to be interesting. I think from what I read the back, it's about a cannibal. So it's going to be interesting. There's that one. And the next book I'm going to be reading is a Darcy Coates book. It's called Haunted. Alright guys, I'm yawning. It is about 5 days after went missing on a hike through the remote forest. Her camera was discovered washed downriver, contaminating bizarre photos taken hours before her disappearance. With no body and no additional clues, finding her in the dark and windy woods seems next to impossible. Chris wants to believe his sister is still alive. When the police search is abandoned and he and 4 of his friends vow to the mountain range until they find her, bringing her home. But as the small group strays farther from the trail and the unsettling discoveries mount, they begin to realize they're not alone. And her disappearance was no accident. That's going to be an interesting one. This is by Darcy Coates. And the next 4 books are all Darcy Coates books. Because I had them. And I've been wanting to read them. And they're perfect, I think, for Halloween. So this one, this one. It says, every family has its secrets. When their mother is hospitalized, Tara and Kyle are sent to stay with their only remaining relatives. Their elderly grandparents seem friendly at first. The trembling house is full of fun nooks and crannies to explore, but strange things keep happening. A bedroom remains locked at all times, doors slam, curtains shift when no one is inside. And there are whispers of a sister who drowned in the lake long ago. Something is being hidden away, kept safe out of sight, and the children can't shake the feeling that it is watching them. When a violent storm cuts off their only communication with the outside world, Tara and Kyle must find a way to protect themselves from their increasingly erratic grandparents, from the ghosts that haunt the house. But can they ever hope to escape the unforgettable secrets that have emerged for their family for generations? There's that one. And the next one is another Darcy Coates book. It's The House Next Door. Says no one stays here for long. She begins to suspect something was wrong with the crumbling Gothic monastery when its family fled in the middle of the night. The children scream, the mother's crying. They never came back. No family stays at Mornwick House for long. No life lingers beyond its blackened windows. No voices drift from its Victorian hallways. Once Justine swore she saw a woman pacing through the upstairs room, but that's impossible. No one has been there in a long, long time. But now someone has moved next door, and is suddenly waking up, touring between staying away and warning the new tenant. Only knows that if she isn't careful, she may be the next victim. There's that one. Got 2 more Darcy Coates books. This one, The House of Shadows. Sophie's world is shattered when bankrupts her family. She's still reeling when she's offered an unexpected solution. A wealthy stranger has asked her for a hand in marriage. Marrying will save her family, but it also condemns Sophie to a life in northern woods, a vast and unnaturally dark mansion, hours from civilization. She still has no choice but to accept the offer and hope the darkness won't swallow her whole. In a struggle to adjust to her new position as mistress over the house, relatives are cold, and the manor is more than it seems. Doors slam, and human figures slink through the rounding forest. A piano plays itself in the middle of the night. Blood drips, warning down the halls. Day by day, Sophie is pulled towards the terrifying truth. Norwood's halls are haunted, and the man she married, the man she's coming to love, is hiding an unforgivable truth about his home, and the spirits are now haunting them both. And the next book is a continuation of this one. It says she'll never survive its secrets. Sophie has survived the impossible for now, but her escape from the North Wood is short-lived. The beast that haunted her home survived and has attracted itself to Jank's young cousin. Desperate, they travel to meet their father at Kensington, a long-abandoned mansion overlooking a dead town. The house offers a small hope. Its original homeowner devoted her life to researching the monsters that now possess. There's a chance that they will find a way to kill the monster without harming the girl. But Kensington has its own danger. Once it has Sophie and within its grasp, it may never let them leave. Trapped inside the historic building, collapsing walls, Sophie are forced to confront the horrors that hid within. Figures stalk them from the shadows, whisper echoes through the night. Unmarked graves dot the property, and the dead are not as restless as they seem. So that is my last book. So I'm reading 11 books this month. So I'm really excited, and my first 4 are going to be Bird Box, Home Before Dark, and Clown in a Cornfield, Frendo Lives, and then Daisy Darker. So those are the first 4 that are going to be in my book review. As always, you guys, please like and subscribe to my channel, and have a good, safe morning, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!